舉行咗啦，即係喺領事館嘅壓力之下都舉行咗啦。你覺得今日嗰個 hearing 會得到啲乜嘢嘅結果？
個結果我唔知嘅，因為佢哋而家聽完佢哋點都要做出一個決定，咁就佢哋咩決定而家就言之過早。不過照睇呢，就好似係相當係有興趣知道香港嘅情況，有個別嘅議員亦係你睇得出咧，亦係相當同情香港嘅。咁但係其他嗰啲我哋就唔知道嘅，要睇佢哋最後作出咩決定啦。
Can you say that in English briefly what you said?
Certainly we had a sympathetic hearing from the committee, but as to what they are going to decide is too soon to tell. Questions were good. A lot of them obviously have been following Hong Kong pretty closely, and they asked the right questions. That's why they make it easy for me.
其實咧，領事館呢封信可能係一個開始，之後繼續談呢件事嘅時候咧，可能都會一路嚟自中方嘅壓力都會出現。從今日個 hearing 裏面，你感覺加拿大政府喺處理呢一方面應該可以點做？
其實呢封信咧，就某一程度上咧，係變咗令到而家我嚟呢度為香港人發聲咧，係更加容易。即係佢都知道，如果咁樣都有壓力嘅，咁香港一定好大壓力咯。不過你又睇到咧，佢哋即係佢哋咁嘅嘗試對國會施壓力係失敗，一定唔成功嘅。國會任何一個國會點會話決定咗係叫啲請咩人嚟俾證供，當然可以你一封信就會即刻取消㗎。呢個仲係議會嚟咩
？Actually,
English to please English. This letter from the Chinese embassy, I suppose, to a certain extent, underlines our case for Hong Kong, because members would understand that if we are subjected to so much pressure, even though we are here in Canada, so the pressure on Hong Kong must be infinitely more so in Hong Kong. But of course, it's not going to work. How can a responsible standing committee like this be forced to change its mind? It decided to have a hearing on Hong Kong, decided to invite us as witnesses, and only because there's a letter, they then say, I'm sorry, we are no longer holding the meeting. It would never happen. But of course, maybe the Chinese embassy has to do this because they are instructed by Beijing to do so.
其實咧，以往你都做呢一啲類似嘅 outreach 嘅時候咧，其實都通常遇到嘅反應都係話翻去鬧你嘅啫，話你係千古罪人啊咁樣樣。而家去到一個外交嘅層面嘅抗議嘅時候，你覺得個壓力係咪大咗？
其實唔係第一次。舊年我同陳方安生去英國嘅時候咧，啲國會議員都話俾我哋聽咧，中國大使館一樣係施壓力，叫佢哋唔好聽我哋嘅。呢樣唔係奇嘅，不過加拿大頭一次，其他國家咧係都有。其實我去每一個國家，譬如好似舊年我同陳方安生去美國，佢哋嗰啲智囊嗰啲叫做智庫係咪 ？think tank 嗰啲智庫咧，左中右嘅智庫啊，都收到大使館嘅電話，叫佢唔好見我哋。咁當然佢哋見啦。
Use English too.
This approach by the Chinese embassy, of course, is to be regretted, but it doesn't really surprise me. Although this is the first time, I suppose, it has happened in this country. When Mrs. Anson Chen and I went to London last year, we were told by members of the committee, off the record, that they also got complaints from the Chinese embassy, and in fact request not to see us. And when I went to Washington and New York with Mrs. Anson Chen last year, all the think tanks that we saw told us that they also got word from the embassy asking them not to see us. But this sort of thing is not going to work. But they do it.
Actually, regarding the pressure from the Chinese embassy, it is not confined to the standing committee, because over the last couple of days, when we were lobbying the standing committee members in Ottawa, I was told by some media that the management also got calls from the Chinese embassy asking them not to cover our news, not to cover this hearing. So the pressure is actually extended to different sectors. However, I'm very glad that many media have, stood firm on their own independent journalistic principles, and that's why I think it's not going to impact us that much, because this is Canada, and instead of having the China to claim that we're interfering with the Chinese domestic affairs, I think they are doing that now. They are interfering on Canadian affairs.
正如你頭先講啦 ，China Trade 咧係每一個國家而家都唔夠膽去放棄嘅一樣嘢嚟。你對於加拿大政府能夠抵得住呢個壓力，或者即係對最終會表態支持香港嘅民主運動呢一樣嘢有幾樂觀？
其實好多政府咧都誤解咗，以為如果想同中國做生意咧，就喺呢啲咁嘅敏感嘅問題咧就收口，其實係錯嘅。即係我睇落去，其實如果一個國家係因為驚冇生意而跪低咧，根本就中國政府唔會覺得呢啲國家係值得做朋友嘅。佢睇佢哋唔起嘅，間中俾啲生意佢就唔會俾多嘅，大生意一樣唔俾嘅，反而係俾嗰啲佢認為有腰骨嗰啲國家因為佢希望佢哋合作愉快啊嘛。So some governments, in fact, too many governments think that if they want to do business in China, then they mustn't antagonize China and speak up on these controversial and sensitive issues. In fact, my experience tells me that this is wrong. Once the Chinese government thinks that a particular government is already in its pocket, then they can just treat this government with disrespect. It may give them the occasional business, but the biggest deal won't go to them. The biggest deals will go to the people who have not yet kowtowed.
Thank you very much.